All right, everyone. It's Grant and Tim. We're here again with another Gutter Growth podcast. Today we've got a special guest, Jacob from Mr. Pipeline. How are you doing today, Jacob?
I'm doing fantastic, Grant. I gotta say, it's truly a pleasure to be here. Thank you guys so much for taking the time to speak with me today.
Hey, absolutely. Mr. Pipeline is such an integral part of what we're coaching in our mastermind. I don't know, and we'll learn a little bit about that today. Is it like something you need to do the minute you open your company? And we'll talk about that. Like, what part of the process is it, and when do you start to get a hold of Mr. Pipeline? Um, I know Tim knows a lot about that. Tim, you used Mr. Pipeline, right? That was a big part of your success in your campaigns.
Yeah, I used them for almost 10 years. Very, very critical. I mean, we learned a lot together.
Jacob, what would you say is like your expertise?
So my expertise are building strategies. So any sort of digital marketing strategies. I speak with business owners, day in, day out, and just discuss, where they're sort of hitting the points or hitting the mark and where they're sort of falling short. And I know you sort of explained, when do you start or when do you find Mr. Pipeline? I think once you start establishing your business and you're making a name for yourself and you're ready to take that sort of to the next level, that's when we would go ahead and jump in and see where we can, provide value, help you take that next step.
I mean, I,
That makes
I, I
sense.
personally, if you got the funds for it, I think that it's something you need to start the minute you open your business.
Right.
Because Mr. Pipeline could take you and make you look like you've been in business for 10 years automatically. And the return on that's like incredible, because, people, they want to feel comfortable with who they're doing business with. And if you got that branding nailed down and, you're ranking SEO, they don't know that you just started your business. It looks like you've been in business 20 years and with a good review strategy. I mean, I just don't see why you would wait.
No, that makes a lot of sense. Like, start off hot right out the gates. I want to let everybody know that this podcast is being promoted by One Gutter Guard. We appreciate that capability to advertise for them because of how high level of a product that is. I am finding out the more and more I learn about Mr. Pipeline that you guys are playing at a really high level, and that's the type of people we like to keep into our in our networking circle, in our inner family, and people that we allow into Gutter Growth. Tim, I wanted to let you know before we jumped on, I was just talking to two clients that came in and they're like, yeah, I'd love to be in. I'm like, hold on. We want to make sure we bring the right people in that are understanding which direction we're going to push you in. And some of that's going to be spending some money. It takes it. Tim talks about the boomerang all the time. Jacob, tell us a little bit about what that like starter package looks like, or that initial conversation with a guy like you when we send someone your way saying, hey, you need Mr. Pipeline.
Right. So I'm going to take a look at the business and sort of what you have going on. So I'm going to take a look at, the number of reviews or your reputation online. I'm going to look at, your website, just do an audit, see where, we sort of have value within the website or if we need to sort of restructure things. And then once you have those stepping stones of you have the reviews, you have the website that we can work with, then we're ready to go ahead and start investing into something like SEO. Because, with the gutter industry, and we've sort of talked about this, it's expensive to advertise. So you want to make sure that you have as many funnels as you can into your website and, gathering leads, whether that's organic, posting on social media. So you got to sort of hit it from all avenues. And that way you can get the most sort of growth, because the biggest thing is that when you have the online presence, you're not fighting to get these leads. People are just finding you online. So that's the biggest difference. And once you have that sort of name for yourself, and once you're ready to sort of take that into consideration when growing your online presence and making the right investments, that's when you're going to experience the sort of growth that, Tim has experienced or that, you have experienced, because it's all about building the reputation online.
Yeah, absolutely. Tim, tell us a little bit about how you guys put your package together, like, and
So
what was important to you.
I kind of started with Pipeline right around when they got, started getting into business, and me and John hooked up. I worked a lot with John one-on-one. So we would have like hour conversations once a week. And we just kind of figured it out slowly, little by little. And he really pushed me to get the reviews going. So then we started getting a system in place with that. And, like Jacob said, that's the most important thing. If you got to have a good name, good reviews, um, because that builds customer trust, right? Without that trust, if you have that trust initially, it breaks, you don't have to be a salesman. They
Yeah.
already trust you. You can just go there and kind of show up and serve and show them what you could do for you or for them, and they already trust you. You get the business a lot more easy.
Jacob, give us like a level of reviews. I know I coach people to shoot for the stars, and these past 4 startup companies I've done over the past 12 years, I know how important it is to get to that 100 review threshold. Like,
Mhm.
is that the marker, or is it just getting that first? I mean, obviously it's getting any, but
Yeah.
should you feel great about having 20 reviews if
You
you think
know,
that's the end game, or it's okay feeling great once you've got your first 20 in 3 weeks? Like, where should you
so
get to?
So Google is looking for consistency. So you should be getting reviews consistently throughout the week. I'm not saying you need, 10 reviews a day, but if you can
Yeah.
get 10 reviews over the span of a month, that's a goal that you should be looking to hit. So you should always be striving to get as many reviews as you can, because that even helps, your online rankings in the map section. People don't
Mm,
realize that. Google actually prefers to rank you higher in the map section if you have more reviews. And the best thing to do is just to automate that process. So,
yeah.
find some sort of, CRM, have that follow-up process. Make sure you're actually converting on reviews because, that's in a sense something free to help increase your online presence. You don't have to spend any money to get reviews unless you're,
Right.
of course, trying to invest into a CRM, but you should be fighting for reviews every single day.
Yeah, I
I didn't
agree.
realize that. I knew that it helps with customer trust and, there's huge benefits of that, but I didn't realize it helps your ranking go up.
That's what's
Absolutely.
helped us so much, which is why I talk about getting the reviews. 2 years open, I think we're at 300. We could do a little better, but in our franchise model, we're working on a tremendous amount versus a lot of other companies that are like, go hang gutters. We're like, no, stay and grow, read a book, do your LMS, do this stuff, learn how to get the reviews. Do you guys have a process? I know that's been really important for that map ranking, but that's about all I've ever been aware of. How do you guys support people getting reviews? Does Mr. Pipeline have a process? Is it just something you tell, or is there something, that's pay to play with you guys that you do, whatever it is, supply something for them, QR codes or whatever?
Yeah, so whenever we're doing any sort of marketing for a company, we want to make sure that you're able to take advantage of every aspect to grow the business. So, we include a review generation software with any one of our marketing
Mm,
services. So, it incorporates a nice little logo. It sends a message to the customer. Thank you so much for choosing, ABC Gutter. We'd really appreciate your feedback. It leaves a nice little link and it actually follows up. So if the software sees that you didn't actually get a review from that customer, it'll follow up with them multiple times just to make sure you're able to close on that review or get that conversion.
fabulous.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
it's something that is so underrated in the market, and so many business owners may not understand how important that is. But automating any one of those processes is going to be your best bet, especially if you're looking to really scale the business.
Tim, just briefly, what did you do? What was your like champion go to with reviews? Like, how did you make that happen?
We did the software system, but when me and John were first developing it, they didn't have those softwares back then. So we were doing, I think he had Uncle Steve or
Was that back
Uncle.
in 1963?
It was a while ago. He had Uncle somebody. I can't remember. I think it was Uncle Steve. But
Okay.
he would call all my customers on Friday that I did the previous
Hmm.
week and ask them how how they liked the work and if they were
Yeah,
happy. And when you got a good response, then you could ask them for the lead.
correct.
What I liked about it is I found out when there was something that was wrong because believe it or not every customer is actually going to speak up. You got some
Yeah.
people that just don't speak up, and if you don't ask, you don't know. So it gave us the opportunity to kind of fix things. So we did that, but then eventually we lost Uncle Steve, so I ended up just going to the review system or the
Hmm.
software,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
as well, you know.
Jacob, what would you say is getting, let's say someone starts up with you, okay? We're gonna call it ABC Gutters,
Yep.
and they're like, Jacob, I've just opened a business. Now, obviously, some of these people we send to you have already had a business and maybe some bad habits, but let's take the guy who's just opened his business, and he says, I understand you have some services. What part of the reviews is in that conversation? Let's say he's already signed up, right? You've already broke down what you have to offer. You're like, start getting reviews right now,
Yeah,
every job.
absolutely. So yeah, so I'm gonna say, at that point, if you're just starting the business, you should be fully blown building a reputation in the community. So that means, yard signs, shaking hands, going to events, things of that nature. So
Yes.
you need to establish the name before you fully invest in digital marketing. So SEO is gonna help you, but having those reviews and having the prominence in the area and the credibility is what's really gonna take that a step further. So you can't fully rely just on some sort of, SEO campaign to drive in all of your traffic. You need to be firing on all cylinders. So, if we form
Mm,
a partnership together, we need to work together to make this thing happen. So you need to be working on gathering those reviews, keeping at the top of mind, posting on social media, and we'll take care of everything on our end. We're going to funnel the traffic into the website. And, if we can form that sort of great partnership, that's what we're looking for. We're not looking to just sign anybody on. We're looking for those companies that have the mindset, that are ready to grow, that are ready to really put their head down and make this thing happen.
they got to work together, right? This isn't like, let's give you X amount of money and then poof, we're amazing. I mean, I know you guys are poof, they're amazing, but they've got to do the extra little bit, right? I mean, there's a lot. There's a
Right.
lot there to
Yeah.
be done. What's
Yeah.
next in the process? So you take a look and they're like, yeah, I don't have a website.
So, Google actually offered this free platform that just builds a website for you. It's a one-page website. They're actually doing away with that on March 1st. So I've spoken with a lot of guys who have those free websites. And, realistically, if you
Oh,
have a placeholder website, sure, it serves a purpose maybe for the first year you're in business. But if you're really looking to invest in the company, having the website is that next level because that's sort of your presence online. That's what people are going to see the first time they Google your name or the first time they come across your business. So if you don't have a killer website, you're already missing out on most of the traffic anyways. So you got
mm-hmm.
to have, and think about it right now, and people already know this, but everybody's searching from a phone nowadays. So you got to have a mobile first design. So it's got to be snappy, it's got to be quick, it's got to be easy to use. And that's when you start really building sort of that structure to align with SEO because Google's looking for certain websites that perform in a certain way for you to fully take advantage of SEO. So you got to have those quick loading speeds. You got to have those optimized website pages just for the
Yeah.
content. So it's all steps to sort of building your online presence. So you got to make sure you're taking those steps in the right way.
For those that don't understand what SEO is, can you kind of just give an explanation? What is SEO?
Yes, please.
So it's search engine optimization. In a sense, it's improving your website visibility, and increasing your rankings on the search engine. So a typical SEO campaign should start with the website. So that's called on-site SEO. We're building out pages. We're interlinking the structure of the website, telling Google, hey, if somebody's looking for this service in this city, we're forming that connection and telling Google, hey, this is the page that you need to show. And it takes a step further because there's off-site SEO as well. So we're building citations across the internet. Your business should be listed on all major platforms. You should be on Yelp. You should be on Angie's List, Home Advisor. All of those platforms are what is known as a citation, and you should be listed with a consistent name, address, and phone number. So those are the three main things that Google's looking for because you should be forming those connections online. You need to be telling Google, hey, this is my business. These are all my citations. This is my credibility. And then we take that a step further by managing your Google business profile. So we're, uploading images, posting,
Yeah.
making sure everything is directly aligned to allow you to be shown most often. But to be very, very simple, SEO is about improving your presence online.
So basically, if I'm not mistaken, you're building like this neurological web,
Yes,
and
yes.
it's
And that's
making
why.
sure
Mhm.
that when somebody is interested over here, something happens over here, and that creates this connection to where you're the first or second or third thing. We all want to be in that top three. You know, Brothers is fabulous at being at the very top, and that's because we've mastered all of this stuff that you guys are really good at. So it's basically building that web up there to make all these connections. And someone in Cincinnati's like gutters near me, and you are doing everything and have allowed Jacob to assist you in this process, those dots are going to get connected quicker to, from ABC gutter to customer than from, you know, Jack's gutters to customer, because Jack's doing stuff on paper and pencil.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the biggest thing, and for people to understand, they think, oh, you know, SEO, is it all similar in every different area? And the truth is it's not. You know, people search differently around the United States. So it really just depends on, you know, what the search volume's like, where to be targeting. Because, you know, what we're doing in a sense is we're performing a SWOT analysis on your competitors. We're seeing where the strengths are. We're seeing where they're falling short. So where they have those weaknesses. And that's where we sort of hone in to make sure that we're, you know, getting that traction where they might have fallen short. And once you have that traction built and you have the momentum, that's how we're able to keep pushing forward. So, you know, if you can find those little niche, you know, pockets where somebody's not performing at the best level, that's where we jump in.
And then aside from having the great reviews and everything, just coming up top organically, that shows trust with the customers. I mean, they trust the company that's up top because they know that they've been around. It's just, I don't know, it's like an authority thing. You know, this company comes up top every time. They must be somebody, you know. So I think in the long run, it ends up being one of the cheaper forms of marketing. It's that initial investment because it takes time. You know, you're not going to rank #1 the first month, but eventually it ends up being the cheapest form of marketing other than maybe a wrap. You know, but you're not going to get the amount of calls off of a wrap that you will a website, you know.
What do you think is like the next step, Jacob? So they give you a call, you know, they've signed up, you're working on their website, right? Pretty much right away.
Yeah, so you know, there's websites that we can absolutely work with when it comes to SEO. You know, we're not just here just to sell you a website. That's not our goal. We want to make sure that you have a presence online. So you have to have a good website before we can move forward with anything else. So once you've established yourself, yep.
You could do SEO without actually doing a website for them. So they could have SEO services and not necessarily have to rebuild a website.
Yeah, so if your website is built on WordPress, I would say that's the #1 thing I'm really looking for is a WordPress website because, you know, that's where Google really, that's where we really sort of thrive. You know, we have more customization features. We can do more on the back end. You know, you want to have a WordPress website, and that's not to knock on these other platforms. It's just, you know, we've seen really good results with WordPress websites. And that has a lot to do with just the overall structure and, you know, the way Google indexes the pages. But with that being said, once you have the reviews, once you have the website, and once you're investing in SEO, you know, you should start seeing a lot of traffic funneling through the website. If you wanted to take that a step further, that's when you incorporate a paid advertising campaign. But you need to take those steps because think about this. Why would we start an advertising campaign for a company that only has 5 reviews? You know, what are the chances that converts? If somebody's looking for more information, yes, we'll get you leads, but you know, we're looking for paying customers. We're here to make sure that you're maximizing your return on investment. So think about those steps: reviews, online presence with the website, SEO, and then we add fuel to the fire. That's when we incorporate a PPC campaign. So where that's pay-per-click, you're advertising on Google. Think about the real estate you'd have on Google. If someone's looking for gutter installation near me, your ad comes up at the top, you're in the map section of Google, and then you have your organic listing right there. You know, it's a no-brainer. They're going to choose you because, you know, you're all over the front page.
I used to hear that all the time. I used to hear that all the time. You're everywhere. I see you everywhere.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I've had a lot of business owners just sort of ask, you know, how are you able to do that? And it's like you understood the power of investing into the business because that's what SEO is. It's an investment. and especially in the gutter industry and, the cost to advertise, I would recommend SEO over anything for gutter companies right now.
Yeah, definitely. It's the way to go, especially once the bigger companies, speaking about like Brothers Gutters. So yeah, we got the top paid ad,
Mhm.
and then we're in the map, and then we probably have like another little mediocre ad, and then we're over here as well. And then it's like they just thrown us in somewhere else. And then even if you put in like gutter king near me, it's still gonna say the brothers that just do gutters are the kings of gutters in your local area. So we're still coming up. Like we've grabbed every word so that we get a
Yeah.
look at everything. And that's how we get so many leads is being up there. Even from the start. Now, like you were saying, it doesn't make a lot of sense when you have no reviews, right?
Mhm.
To But it also doesn't hurt when you have no reviews to still be the king of the top three. If you know
Yeah.
which direction you're going, that just takes a decent amount of money. And
I look at the way I've always looked at the pay-per-click. If you could figure out what the lead cost you, how many leads it takes to get that sale, and you figure out your pricing so that sale price is always priced in there.
yeah.
And it's a no-brainer. Set the budget high. I always had a huge budget,
Mhm.
but I wanted every lead. I didn't want to just have some leads. I wanted every
Yeah.
lead, every chance.
Yeah.
And that sort of circles me back because you talk to certain business owners, right? And they might be a bit hesitant. And that's fine. You're establishing trust at that point. You're building a strategy, and we're here to help businesses. That's why we do what we do. I think that you should stay away from just trying to get your feet wet. If you need to figure out what the cost per click is going to be in your area, what the competition's like, and you need to develop a budget around that. You can't just
Yeah.
go within your own confinement. You need to understand what's happening in your area, because if you're looking for a certain, result, you better make sure you have the research to back that result. So that's sort of why we're here to look into, what the cost is, what the competition's like, because we have those tools and resources to really do that. And the goal is to have a conversation, see where we need to improve, and then I'll give you all the research so you can make that decision. That's the biggest thing, that you have the information in front of you. It
Mhm.
makes life a whole lot easier when you actually have something tangible to work with.
I think the way a lot of people look at it, or at least new business owners, is like they try to get a budget in mind, and they're like, "Oh, I want to spend $3,000." But instead of looking at it as like a budget, I would look at it as how many jobs do you need?
Hmm.
Yeah.
Do I need 20 more jobs? Well, how many leads is it going to take to get 20 more jobs? Well, where does my budget have to be to get that amount of leads? And that's how you should look at it, because if you're working, you're making money, no? So why do you not want the work? Maybe you can't handle that work. So maybe it's just like right now, I can't put another crew together, so I don't need to have that high of a budget. I'll turn it down, but the whole thing is knowing your numbers and knowing how many actual jobs you need.
And yeah, I think that goes into the sort of transparency factor where you should have all the metrics in front of you. You should see exactly how much money you're spending. You should see exactly how many leads that you're gathering. And that's a nice thing. And we provide everybody with a results dashboard so you can actually see your results, whether you're doing SEO, any sort of paid advertising. So that's the biggest thing, circling back at the end of the month and seeing, what's working and what's not. And that's what we're here to do, is we're here to oversee things. And that's why it's a partnership. We have to work together, because we need to talk to you as the business owner to say, hey, what are the quality of leads even like? You're the one
Mm,
answering the phone, or you have somebody answering the phone, but we want to get your feedback. How many of these leads actually closed? What's working and what's not.
that makes sense. That makes sense that you're reaching out to them about that. What does
Mhm.
that conversation usually look like?
So we'll typically evaluate a campaign over a 30-day period. So we're going to see, we're going to compare it to the previous month. We're going to see if we're seeing any sort of growth when it comes to the numbers, how many leads that we're generating. And then we have to get your feedback on the quality. So that comes from you directly. We'll listen in to, certain phone calls, things of that nature. But when it comes to form submissions, we can't see the email back and forth conversation. So It's just going in, really understanding, okay, are we hitting the budget? How many leads are we gathering? What's the cost per lead? Okay, what's the quality then? And we open up the conversation. Okay, based on this, we need to start focusing on this adjustment here. This is where we need to make the change in order to get the results that you're looking for.
What is the average cost of like a company that wants to come in and have you, say, okay, we trust you. We've saw the podcast. We know 4 or 5 other companies that are using you, or 100 other companies. Like, it's apparent you're the way to go. What is just that middle cost area that they're looking at spending for, your base support?
Yeah, so when it comes to the websites, we're very transparent in our pricing. Everything's listed out.
Hmm.
So for the websites, it's just about, $3,000, a little bit higher for the website. It's broken down in the monthly payments, but the thing is you're investing into a website that's going to last you, for the foreseeable future. This isn't a
Yeah.
website that you're going to need to revamp in 2 years. Think about it like this. You can drive around in an old Honda if you want to. Sure, it'll get you from point A to from point B, but
Exactly.
how much attention is that Honda going to get you? If you're driving around, in a Rolls Royce or something beautiful, you're going to attract everyone's attention, and they're not going to bounce off the website, because the point is, if you spend all this time investing into creating funnels to the website, but people just don't like the way that your company is represented online, that time is, you're not investing your time where you really should. So it's about building the website, taking it a step further with SEO,
Hmm.
increasing organic rankings, creating that funnel. You're getting a good user experience. So all in all, with the website and our entry level SEO package, right around $1,000 a month. But think about that. That
Yeah.
$1,000 a month is going to turn into quite a bit more, over time. And that's the cool thing about SEO, is the longer you invest, the more return on investment you're actually getting.
That
And a big
boomerang.
thing is
It's like a
exactly
Rolex. It just keeps getting more valuable.
The damn
right. Yeah.
Rolex. Let's
So
go.
you're building up your authority online. So I just think so many people sort of, may not have that understanding. It's really about investing into the business for that growth, because, I actually managed Tim's campaign for a long time. So we actually worked directly together, and, just seeing the results that we were able to get strictly from building out a website and an SEO campaign, and just going further and further and further. And because Tim's shooting for the stars, Tim.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So, so when we're actually able to achieve something like that, it's really amazing. And, to see the way that he's grown and the way he's able to sort of, put that value back onto everybody else and create that understanding, I think is the biggest thing, because, that's another investment in itself. But, every location is different. Every area is different. All the competition's different in each area. So realistically, we need to have that discussion personally. Um, you know,
Yes.
if we can have that conversation and sit down, I think that's how you get a real idea of when it comes to pricing. We're not here to nickel and dime people. We're here to create partnerships. So,
Yeah.
that's why we exist.
Another thing I loved about my website, I had like a real classy image. The branding was on point. I feel like Mr. Pipeline is awesome at that, making a good
I
image.
agree. I agree. Everything that I
Well,
see is really classy. And it's not like you guys are trying to reinvent the wheel, like just do way too much. Like, there's
mhm.
some that are just doing way too much, and they all look really good.
Yeah, and you want to be direct with any sort of customers, because they know what they want. They're just making the decision. So you got to make it easy for them to make that decision. So when they get to the website, it's really about instilling that branding, like emphasizing, because they're going to remember a brand that sticks out over anything else. So our
Yeah.
idea and our goal is to emphasize that branding. So every time they're thinking about a gutter company, your business is the one that comes to mind. So that's sort of where we really sort of excel, is, creating a brand image that is proud for your company.
And
And we
it,
have great references, we get great feedback, and we're always trying to innovate, because
Hmm.
to be real, everything's always changing.
Yeah.
There's always an opportunity to get better. And if you're not always trying to get better, then, what are you doing it for?
Going back to your initial question, Grant, I think that's why you should do it immediately, because they could help you get that image immediately.
Yeah.
It's better to get it done right now than have to go back and change it. It's a lot of things to change, and then you're spending money changing it. It's just, I think it's better just to get the image and the branding done right off the bat.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, let's say you want to, I mean, let's say you want to sell your clothes, right? And you want to open a retail store, and instead of like spending a little bit more money getting a nice storefront, building or procuring some nice clothing shelving and racking and making the ambiance nice in there so that when people come in, it doesn't stink because it used to be a Chinese restaurant, or the windows aren't, or you just go like, no, man, let's sell this stuff out of my homeboy's garage. Like, you're not going to get the same kind of traffic. You're not going to be able to scale that. You'll forever be popping trunk to sell shirts and hats. You have to invest in what people can embrace. And the website and the home service industry starts at totally the same. Like, if we were to have a storefront, Brothers Gutters or something, like downtown Manhattan or whatever major city, like downtown Austin, like where people are walking looking at art, and then all of a sudden we decide we want to invest, $10,000 or $20,000 a month into a storefront and fill it up with all this nice stuff. That would work really well too, but we historically know that that's not a good return on our investment, right, Jacob? So it's like Mr. Pipeline is that glass storefront for you, that as people are coming by, oh, I like that. Let's pause for a minute. And then Mr. Pipeline hits you with all the keywords, right, and the phrases, and helps you. Now, do you guys help beef up the logo? Let's say you get someone and they come in and their logos, they're like, Jacob, here's my logo. January 21st is the name of my company.
Okay.
What's that conversation look like? Like, we can't do much with that.
Mine was black lettering when I started.
Well, no, I just mean like maybe the name actually sucks, just like ours guttering, and you're like,
So that's a big conversation to have also. It's, if we're going to invest in SEO, we can't decide 4 months, 6 months down the road, oh, we need to change our name. We need to go through a rebrand. Now,
yeah,
you can do that and still maintain an online presence, but you need to establish everything with your business at this point. That's what I mean by, if we're going to work together, we should have that establishment already set in place. We're not a logo design company. We'll make suggestions and, we'll help you out. We'll do whatever we need to do. But realistically, you should have that design set in place. You should understand that the business name is so important. So when it comes to those aspects, we can have that conversation, but I want to see you already formulating that. That's things, that's day one.
Yeah.
That's day one type. Yep.
No, and I agree. I wanted to make sure that we pointed that out. Like, you're not going to come to Mr. Pipeline and get a hold of Jacob and just tell him, I just opened up yesterday. Okay, make magic work. Well, what's the name of your company? I don't know. What do you think we should call it? And he's like, okay, that's when you need Gutter Grove. We'll help you pick a cool name. But you got to already have that stuff. What is Jacob, tell us like some really high level stuff for these guys that or is there anything, these guys that already are using you, or maybe one of the other great companies, if there is any, and their stuff's good,
that you already have,
just put more money in, let's turn this thing way up, or is there something else?
Yeah, absolutely. So we do have high tier SEO packages. We work with very large businesses. So in that aspect, if you're really ready to invest, we do have those higher end packages, but there still should be a strategy around that package. There's no sense in signing up for the higher end package if it's not going to serve you. Now, if we're really looking to invest in SEO, we're going to build out a game plan where we're likely going to target, a very large service area. So as we start building your authority online, you can start forming these connections further and further away from your home base. So if Google understands that, hey, like someone like Brothers Gutters, we can target areas that are pretty far away from you guys and still, get some great results. But you should have that credibility. If you're really ready to scale, you should be having, over 100 reviews, maybe 200 at that point. At that point, we're really just ready to go all in. But at that point, you should also have that PPC campaign. So, Google advertising, Facebook advertising, you should be hitting every single avenue at that point, because if you have the money to invest, you want to be everywhere. Because if
Are you
you're,
guys,
yep, go ahead.
do you guys do Facebook marketing?
Yeah, so we do Facebook advertising. I'm going to be fully transparent with you guys. In the industry, it's better for branding. So if you're looking for direct lead generation, you're going to want to stick with Google. But if you have the extra money to spend, or you're looking to get the brand out there, Facebook advertising is the next step. But you should already be posting organically at that point. You should be focusing on the content. Like I said, if we're going to work together in this partnership, a lot of these conversations with business owners that I'm having is, focus on the content. And I don't mean
Yes.
written content. I mean,
No.
take these videos that'll just blow your customers' socks off.
Yeah.
Invest in that, because we're moving to this age that is so digital, and everyone's on social media. Everyone wants to see something cool. What's more likely to get shown? An awesome video, with a drone coming around, a gutter installation, or just a simple picture of just something stagnant. So
Yeah.
really think about what your customer wants to see.
Yeah, video is huge.
Video is definitely huge. Podcast
I don't feel like
videos.
many people have tapped into it yet, though, in the industry. Like, there's a lot of room for growth with it.
Yeah.
100%.
If
Yeah,
someone really
100%.
taps into that content correctly, I mean, it could be real huge.
Yeah, and I speak to a lot of these guys in the gunner industry, and they're like, "Hey, look, we're starting up a YouTube channel. Like, what do you think of this?" But think about it. Google owns YouTube. So if you're making your own content on YouTube, you're putting it on the website, and you're making those connections, that's sort of, a double-edged win.
Does that help the website go up?
Yeah, so videos definitely help, but the biggest thing is you don't want to upload a large video file onto the website, because think about, if someone's on a phone and it's trying to load that website, maybe you're not on Wi-Fi,
Right.
make sure you load it through a link that's embedded onto the website. Now, that might go past someone's head, but just make sure it's uploaded from YouTube and not onto the website itself.
That makes
Yeah, that
sense.
makes sense.
Mhm.
Yeah, that video presence, I've been trying to keep the custom gutter guy. That's how I got a lot of, and I wasn't even trying to sell anything, but just making sure that content on there, posting 3 to 6 times a day at the right times, and then having moving content, is very important, as like you were talking about, so that as you want to take it to the next level, because the dream is, I think, for most gutter companies, is to like do $1.5 to $3 million, and you got to have a lot of leads to do that,
Mhm.
and you got to have the right people behind you, and you've got to put the work in the community as well too. Like,
Mhm.
awesome website clicks, but then you're just jacking up people's houses left and right and no reviews. Not gonna probably work out that well for you.
Yeah, of course. A partnership works both ways, and that's the thing. I'm going to be very straightforward. If there's something that maybe I think could be better, or something that I think you should, a change in your processes, I'm going to make that suggestion to you.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you know if you're getting those reviews consistently, you should only be sending those to happy customers. So you obviously don't want bad reviews. It does happen, and I'll tell you
Yeah.
this right now: if you get a bad review on Google, don't, go all crazy trying to be like, "Oh, my reputation's ruined." Just respond to that review in a professional way. And, that might actually, help, they realize, oh, this company actually cares. If
Mm-hmm.
maybe, something wasn't dotted off, we weren't crossing our T's and dotting our I's, that's where we need to improve. Take it as a learning process, respond to the review, make it right, and, people will respect that.
That
A
works
lot
every
of it's
time, man.
communication. I mean, a lot of these bad reviews, I've had like 3 of them removed. It's not like, you're going to get them. It's going to happen. Eventually it'll happen, even if it's a couple of years in.
Yep.
Some people just, it happens,
We just got a couple. We were a 5-star company, up to like 270 reviews, and I have taken companies from 0 to 500 2 or 3 different times, and I'm like, no, around 250 to 300 reviews, unless you're an owner operator and you're just the owner and you're doing every job and you are taking your absolute time and you can control everything and wear a million hats, right? All the stuff we advise against, the boys are going to go out and they're going to make a mistake. And you're absolutely right, Jacob. It's all about how you respond to those. I'd say we had 3 or 4 1-star reviews over 2 years. And then I just go out and I'm like, I'm Grant. This is my responsibility. Obviously didn't train my guys properly, or I haven't spent enough time with them. But either way, we're here to just correct this issue, and we don't make up a bunch of excuses, and then we just handle it quickly and it 5-star, 5-star, 5-star. But we did. We're at 4.9 stars now, around 300 reviews. A, it's a learning lesson, like you said. B, respond to it professionally. Like, and then most people, most of the consumer people, they know when they're shopping, like, no one's perfect. You know, they'll go to a restaurant has 4.8 or 4.7. What do we do when we look for a hotel? There's a million hotels that got 2 and 3 stars,
Yeah, we skip
legitimately.
past those ones.
And yeah, and you look, but you're gonna only stay in 5-star with 1,000 reviews? No, I'm gonna 4.7, 4.8, because I know that people aren't perfect, you know. It just, as you scale, things are gonna happen review wise.
But
Yeah.
don't ignore it. So I mean,
No.
respond back professionally, on the actual review, but respond directly, because if you
Yeah,
could solve the problem, they'll take it off. I've had like 3 or 4 of them removed. You're not going to get everybody. It just depends on the circumstances. But
right.
a clean out, some mess was left.
These
You go
people with
fix
these
that
dang
for them.
clean outs,
Yeah,
man.
the clean outs. That was the only ones I got.
It's always about these cheap clean outs. And then you just bury it with like 48 5-star reviews.
That's another
And
thing. When you do get that, bury it.
bury it.
That's the next move.
Yeah,
But
that's
protect your reputation with your life.
Call
right.
Mr. Pipeline and they do rent a shovel and you just bury that dang review.
Right. And that's the thing. If you automate that process and you're consistent, they're gonna look at those 5-star reviews. I mean, sure, they might see, a bad review or two, but if most of your reviews are good reviews, obviously, you do great work. And the only person that has the ability to change that review is the person that left it. So keep in mind, they can adjust the review to 5 stars if you go and make it right. So that's the biggest thing. You're trying your best to keep that communication open, and you're writing anything that may have caused them to feel that way.
Mm-hmm.
Grant, you know my area over here. It's pretty good,
Yeah.
right? What do you think? There's
Yeah.
like 120 gutter companies.
Dude, it's like as many gutter companies they got over there. It's like if you order like quadruple pepperoni pizza and those are the gutter companies, it's like layered. There's a lot.
Yeah, like 120 at least, right?
It's insane. I mean, dude, we don't even have that many in like South Texas, probably.
But out of the amount of companies, I was on top. So
Yeah,
Pipeline could
yeah,
get you on top. I was in a pretty competitive area, and they got me on top.
And that's the
no,
thing. That's why it's long term too, because we were working together. We were working with you for a very long time. So, people think, oh, SEO, 6 months I'll be at the top. And you very well might get page 1 rankings, but that's not going to be for every keyword, not every
mm-mm,
service. So,
mm-mm.
but that's the beauty of it is, over time your return on investment keeps improving. So, you have to understand that this is going to be a process. Why wait in that sense if it's going to take time? Now is the time. It's just, SEO, especially in the gutter industry. I talk to so many gutter businesses throughout the day, and now they're having that understanding, and it's largely due to you guys too, because you're spreading awareness. People might think, oh, SEO, it's some sort of magic trick where they just make you
Yeah,
do
yeah.
they make you rank on page 1, but there's so much involved, and there's so much to be done on the back end. And some guys are like, oh, I'm going to try to learn how to do it myself, but if you're not
Right.
spending time trying to better the business, you
That's the
should
biggest
focus on your
mistake.
operations. If we have all the tools and the resources to do that, if you thought about hiring somebody in-house, that would cost 4 times the amount of trying to invest in an SEO campaign. So, that's why we exist. That's why we do what we do. So, You know, there's really no better time to start investing than now.
What do you guys do? What's the other like big industry? So I noticed like we've been talking a lot about Mr. Pipeline in correlation to being the go-to company because you guys have customers in the seamless gutter industry. Obviously,
Yep.
starting all the way back with Tim and John's relationship, right? So that's a very unique relationship. But what's the other big? Is there another big industry that you guys specialize in that we could tell people about? I mean, like
Yeah.
auto
So
mechanics or churches or
So our main area of focus is the home service industry. So that
okay.
includes, you know, gutter companies, roofing companies, pressure washing companies. Yeah, we'll do work for anybody that works on the home. We've done things that sort of extend those boundaries, but our real niche is the
Okay.
gutter industry, the roofing industry, the pressure washing industry. We're very well known because, you know, it's like building your reputation online. The reason why I'm even on this podcast today is because we have proven results. We can
Mhm.
get the work done that we say that we're going to do. We're not here just to sort of, you know, sign you up and then, you know, put you on the back burner. It's no, we're here to
Right.
do work. And with that being said, we do have an exclusivity clause. So once we take on, there's only so much search volume that we can work with and so many companies that we can work with in the area. So typically your home base is going to be excluded off the bat. So if we're working
Mm.
with somebody and you guys are trying to target the same locations, you know, that's, you know, if the search volume isn't there, we're not going to be able to work with you. So we're very straightforward with that. We're not here to work against ourselves because that's not fair to you. And it's
Yep.
not fair to us because we're trying to get certain results. And if we're fighting against ourselves, we're not getting anything done. So, you know, with that being said,
I had many gutter companies try to get my plug. You guys shot them
Yeah.
down.
yep, exactly. You know, so we're true to our word in that aspect. You know, our main growth area right now is definitely in the gutter industry. So, you know, just the results that we've been able to achieve have been really fantastic. And
They are fantastic.
yeah, so you know, it makes things a lot easier, especially when building strategies. Because if I'm building strategies, you know, and I'm having conversations day after day in the gutter industry, I typically know the trends, I know the areas, and I know what works and what doesn't. So, you know, if we're having this conversation and ideas are flowing, I'll tell you exactly where we need to focus, where you need to focus, where the competitors are falling short, like I said, and then that's where we sort of dive in. So you know, that's definitely one of our main industries, I would say. And with that being said, I look forward to meeting these business owners every day. So I enjoy what I do. You know, it's really cool just to see, you know, how people sort of think about things, where you are now, where you want to be. It's just very interesting to me. And you know, every area is a little bit different. So that's the cool thing about what we do. And yeah, that's really where we focus.
Tim, what do you think was the top three best decisions you made once you decided? We just told your story the other day, right? So let's fast forward past riding with pops, handling your business where we all start from. And you come back and you're like, I'm doing it this way. I'm gonna start investing in my company. I'm not gonna be worried. What was like the first three things you knew you needed to do? Like
What I
maybe not
needed to do.
specifically. Yeah, that you knew what you needed to do to take your company to the next level. Like wrap your vehicles or whatever, like what are those top three things you think?
See, when I started, it was kind of like the transition period from when the yellow pages
Yellow
stopped
pages, yeah.
working. So a lot of it was figuring it out, and that's what me and John did. The first few years, it was a lot of we were talking every week. But I think the main thing is you got to have SEO, you got to have a website. I'm a big advocate for pay per click. If you want to grow, you got to
Yes.
have leads, you got to have avenues to get leads. Um, it was just a constant improvement. Like it's just you always got to constantly improve, constantly think about what could get better. And even with the marketing. So like, we were constantly evolving throughout the years. Like when I started to get into the copper market, I had different plans for the website. I took
Mm-hmm.
off a lot of the
Mm-hmm.
aluminum stuff and I just started showing the high end stuff. And then, you know, So it evolved to the needs of the business, and I think you just got to constantly improve, but you got to have that vehicle to improve upon. That's going to bring you the leads. So I think it's the main thing you should do. I don't really think you have a business if you don't have a website and
I
lead.
agree. Yeah,
So
definitely. I mean, get that branding,
sure you could get a
get that website.
contractor, a couple contractors, but when you get a contractor giving you half your work and
Come on.
they get pissed off at you for some reason or another, that relationship goes south. Now half your business is gone. So I
Yeah,
just
I
don't
mean,
think
it's
it's a good strategy. The word of mouth thing, I hate it when people say that. Oh, word of mouth. Yeah, yeah, you want word of mouth. Yes. Give everybody
yes,
the best service you can so you get word of mouth. Do it. But I mean, if you think that's a business strategy, come on. You got to have
right.
people. You got to have people coming to you. That's gonna be your word of mouth. It's so you use that vehicle. You give them a good service, then they become your word of mouth. But that's not a business strategy. Word of
No,
mouth.
that's 100% word of mouth. That's like um Nike not putting their shoes on every single famous athlete because they've got word of mouth. No, you still need to have like one of the biggest marketing campaigns on TV. You still have to sign these $1 billion, $500 million deals with these athletes so they'll wear all your stuff because word of mouth is cute, but it ain't going to
Yeah.
make you a bunch of money.
And you can have a house built on sand if you want to, but what happens when the ground shifts, you know?
Yeah.
So it's that
Yeah.
solid rock foundation that you have to have in the business.
Jacob, how do they get a hold of you?
How do they smoke their competition?
Get it.
Um, so yeah, so we can definitely set aside some time to connect. Definitely check out Mr. Pipeline's website. And we actually have some really exciting news. So we actually just recently partnered with Frank Hennigan and the Gutter app. So we actually integrated our software into that application just to show you guys how
Yes.
serious we are in the gutter industry. We've had a
Yep.
lot of great conversations with Frank. And it's just really having the understanding if you can automate all of your processes or if you can manage your business in one place, that's where you become the most optimal performer in the industry. You need to be focusing on your processes before you can scale, because if you're scaling without these processes set in place,
Correct.
you might not be ready for that just yet. So you want to make sure you have everything that's right in front of you. You're having the right strategy, you're having the right information, you're providing a great customer experience, and that's where you sort of take things a step further. So they can reach out to me, scheduling a call through the Mr. Pipeline website. We actually have a discovery call option. There's a video where I sort of explain things, what you can expect. But
Well,
really come to that call open-minded and let's, collaborate. That's the reason why we're having that call in the first place. Are you a good
yeah.
fit for us? And are we a good fit for you?
Tim, I think that's huge with what we're offering them right alongside Mr. Pipeline, right? Is that strategy? It would be like, could you imagine getting, 100 leads a week or 80 leads a week and you just only got one truck? Because you're like, oh, I went and
What's
got
that
Mr.
Abraham
Pipeline.
Lincoln the
Y-
Abraham Lincoln quote? Something like spend 8 hours sharpening your sword.
Yeah.
Yeah, you gotta
Yeah.
have strategy.
You gotta come get the strategy over at Gutter Growth. And if you don't have the website and you don't have the stuff, we're gonna let you know right away. And we highly, right, Tim? We highly recommend Mr. Pipeline. In fact, it's who
I
we
only
recommend.
recommend Mr.
Yeah,
Pipeline.
it's who
Yeah.
we recommend. There's nobody else for you. So, but remember, like he said, the exclusivity. Like you don't want to be the last guy.
Mhm.
Don't like sit here and a lot of these choices that we're telling you are things that the veterans have been doing for as long as we've been allowed to do them, and you're already behind the game. So make sure you don't try to come eat up some clicks that we've already took them all.
And that's the thing.
I
There's
know
no
I'm
better
silly.
time. There's no better time than now. I think, especially with the way things are moving, everything's online. I mean, that's how it's been for
Yeah.
the last, 5, 10 years. So, you have to have the online presence. That's what we're here for. That's what we want to establish with you. But like you said, we do have that exclusivity clause. So if you give me a
Yep.
call and your area is taken, that's the name of the game.
That's a big weapon in the arsenal. That's like AK-47, you know?
It is. It is.
Yeah.
Speaking of exclusivity, that's why I like the one gutter guard. system is because it's exclusive. Like if they're already servicing that market, you don't get an opportunity to purchase that. So anything that's exclusive, like my ears perk right up, and I'm like, why would I want to be the last person to get involved to do? And we're just talking about what? Doing things the right way so that you have an opportunity to be successful and you have a bigger opportunity to be successful. That's the main key. Jacob, you got any final nuggets for our viewers when it comes to
Final words.
Yeah, I say, if you're ready to sort of improve your presence online, maybe you had a bad experience with a marketing company. I hear that all the time. Oh, I hate working with marketing companies. I can't trust them. We've established the trust. That's why we're here. That's why we're having the conversation. So if you're ready to have a serious partnership and you're really to take your business to the next level and smoke your competition, I think, now's the time. 2024, we're not getting any younger. The game is changing. Everything is digital. Let's collaborate and let's, make something beautiful happen together.
They put the competition in a Traeger. Jacob, it was an absolute pleasure having you on, man. We're going to do this several more times this year. Having Mr. Pipeline have your back for you viewers is like literally one of the most important things that you can do to make sure that you get the leads that you need to scale. If you don't have the customers, you are going to have a hard time scaling. It probably
you need Mr. Pipeline or somebody, like Mr. Pipeline. You need them having your back. You need to be out there running your business, and you need someone who's constantly running the lead generation, making sure you're getting leads and staying on top. It's a no-brainer.
If you got your nephew doing your SEO because, he's in his second year at Trinity Community College over in Baltimore, Camden or wherever, he's got to be fired. Mr. Pipeline, Jacob, this is who we recommend. It's absolutely a pleasure and appreciate your time this afternoon.